Still some people funneling in, but we're going to go ahead and get started today. Super excited for today's webinar. We get to unveil some of the things that we've been working on related to AI and really around supply chain automation. Let's go ahead and get kicked off with a round of introductions. My name is Alex Witzpollik. I'm the founder and CEO of Continuum. I've been in the supply chain for north of 14 years now, and I always tell people I'm likely a glutton for punishment. I fell in love with distribution and manufacturing 14 years ago, and I've never left. And the great thing is, I identified this gap that had some serious ripple effects, distribution and manufacturing companies, and really was a zero value added activity of warranty and returns processing. And there was no one solving it. And so it was a great opportunity. And today, fast forward to where we're at, have an incredible team, super incredible technologists around me on the team that really go and make this happen. Based out of Chicago, Illinois, and excited to be your host today for our webinar. Alex, my other Alex, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Appreciate that. Yeah, my name's Alex Drayo. I'm an AI engineer here at Continuum. I'm from Vienna, Virginia. So prior to this, I've served as an AI, ML, and data engineer at several other startups in the drug development and carbon modeling industries. I have my master's in, excuse me, computational data analytics with a specialty in machine learning. And Connor.
Hello, my name is Connor McNamara. I'm based out of Denver, Colorado. Prior to Continuum, I was a senior AI engineer at Arrow Electronics, which is a major electronic component distributor. So well versed with the distributor problems and all about the supply chain there. I was working there for 7 years, wearing many hats between AI engineer to ML ops and business analyst and data scientist, but primarily focusing on supply chain and distribution problems, particularly providing both generative AI solutions and predictive AI solutions at scale for Arrow and for our customers. And on a personal note, I'm an avid rafter and skier.
Love it. So today there is a shift in what is possible and how agents can learn, AI agents can learn to be able to adapt to manufacturers' ever-changing policies, to be able to adhere to your business logic and rules. And the beautiful thing is there's distribution ERPs now have API connectivity. So if you build agents that can understand those APIs, you can essentially replicate anything a human does. And we firmly believe that it's important to start with the task that candidly you don't want any humans to do, which is warranty claim processing. Low value activity only has the potential to harm the customer experience. Incredible opportunity to point AI at. Right? It's actually a great starting place for AI. The other piece that everyone on this call should be aware of is while we have agents that we're going to show today, we actually also have many manufacturers that are our customers. So in that scenario, it doesn't make sense to go point AI at the problem. So, I think if you're always looking to say, hey, we want AI everywhere, it's like when you're a hammer, everything is a nail. And in this case, there's times where you don't need AI to process a claim. We could just use APIs. So in the case where manufacturers are already on our portal, instead of using an AI agent to log in and file these claims, we just talk continuum to continuum up the supply chain. But ultimately, what we're building is a completely connected supply chain for companies just like you to help automate the entire reverse logistics process. And whether your manufacturers are on our network or not, the value is very analogous to you and the experience both you and your customers get.
Thanks, Alex. So before Connor gets into the really exciting stuff, that's going to be like the demo. You're going to see that our actual agentic system in action. I'm going to kind of just give you a really high level overview and walk you through what you're about to see. So on the top here, I mean, this is basically the architecture, the whole system that goes on, which is our AI warranty submission system. So in the top, you see a much more complicated flow, and that is basically teaching our system how do we interact with warranty portals. And that's a really complicated process. As you've all seen who've interacted with warranty claim portals, it's not easy. It's not easy for a human. It's not easy to make a system do it. And then on the bottom, you actually see the flow, which is a little bit simpler, of actually live. So what happens after you click the submit button on the Continuum portal? What happens and how do we fire off a request to actually ask this agent to say, hey, here's some data, please validate it, and go actually enter in all the data. So just zooming into the top, this diagram represents, we use a LangGraph framework, which is a agentic large language model framework, excuse me, that we use to orchestrate our whole approach. So each box you see is a node or a subgraph, or some call it an agent, but they all have different responsibilities. So we start this process by taking a really simple script that we use to train this agent, train the system with how to actually interact with this warranty portal. Then we try to execute it and we see what breaks because something's going to break. So the blue graph, the blue box over there is actually a debugger graph, and it tries to figure out, hey, what's going on? Why is it failing? Like, let me see some error logs. Let me see the web page. Let me see some screenshots, some screen grabs of what's failing. The red box is a planning agent. So that agent's responsibility is to take all those error logs, all the screenshots, and actually, with the root cause, actually figure out what can I do to fix this? And then it actually implements the fix. So those processes happen again and again, and it keeps retrying for as long as it takes to kind of fix that process. And then we save that working script that we've just executed to submit your warranty claim to a real live warranty portal, and we save it in a database so it can then be reused. And that's what you see in that bottom gray box. So that whole process that I've kind of walked you through at a really high level is our agentic self-healing. And I want to just illustrate that self-healing is that retry logic with our debugging and root cause analysis and implementation graphs. And so that's all necessary to interact with these really, really brittle warranty portals that I'm sure you've all experienced. Some other things I'll highlight is kind of the scalability. Our platform is flexible enough to handle multiple warranty claims. It can handle everything you throw at us, all in parallel. And lastly, I'll touch on the human in the loop design. So that's really designed when we have a script generated by our agents, we have a human review it. And that's really to keep our agents accountable and protect protect this process, protect your data, and make sure you have a consistent customer experience. So now over to the exciting stuff. Connor is actually going to show us this working live.
Yep. One additional note just to throw in before we transition into the demo. This is all entirely an open source utilization. So we are
Yeah.
leveraging technologies that are not, hidden behind paywalls or any of that stuff. This could be built by anyone using the LangGraph framework, but it's a very complex problem, right? So it requires a lot of different agents interacting and figuring out how it can self-heal these RPA bots that we're basically spinning up, right? So this is just simply our approach, right? Including diagnosing root causes and errors and planning and all of that stuff stitched together. But LangGraph is open to the community and anyone can jump in there, right? Um, so before I jump into the demo here, I just want to touch on the usage of APIs that Alex was referencing. Some of our vendors do have APIs, and obviously, if they do, that is the path of least resistance, and that's the right path for us to use. However, a lot of them don't. So this tool with this agentic solution has mostly been geared towards integrating with vendors who don't have existing APIs. Just want to make that really clear. If they do have an API, we are leveraging that. So going to jump over to the demo now. Can you guys see this screen here?
Yep.
We got it.
All right, awesome. So for this demo purpose, I'm hosting this on my laptop. So I'm just going to spin up the application. And while that's loading up, which really doesn't take long, it'll probably be done before I finish the sentence, and whoa, it is. We are going to be sending three consecutive claims simultaneously, not consecutive, at our tool through this task file. Here's an example of one of these claims. These are all test files, but meant to simulate exactly what our user would be doing. So this one is particularly for the Gen warranty program, which Johnstone uses. And we have two Gen claims that we'll send, one from the New York branch and one from the Connecticut branch, as there's some differences between the branches. We'll also send a Ream claim at it as well, right? But this is ultimately what users would insert in Continuum and what we would conglomerate from the bombs, like Alex was describing, right? So
And for those of you on the webinar who've never actually seen the Continuum user experience, the software, this is just the back end of when you hit submit on a claim in our UI, the back end side, we're going to show you kind of under the hood what's actually happening and that a user never even sees or experiences to produce that type of automation.
yep, exactly. Yeah. So obviously you won't be submitting JSONs like this, right? It's a much prettier user interface. But just to get the point across, right? We have the PO number, the store name, all of this information that the user is providing on the warranty claim in which they wish to submit with the vendor. So enough jibber jabber. Let's see it in action, right? So this is going to kick off three claims at once, and you'll see three windows just pop up on my screen here. So we've got the two gens and the one from Ream. I'll drag this around so we can see all of them. You can see the gens have already navigated through the website. They hovered over a product. They went to warranty information. They clicked a link to start submit the warranty information. And they're already beginning to fill out the information. You can see the PO numbers, the dates starting to get submitted, the quantity. So now they're actually working on the form. We've done some testing. On average, our gen system takes less than 2 minutes to complete, which is pretty fast. It's probably faster than a user would be able to submit this stuff. This one's fun to highlight. This is the Ream portal, and it is logged in, and now it's going into the particular profile, right? Air conditioning for one of our partners, Tropic Supply. But you can see how slow this website is. Right now, for example, all it's trying to do is click this add claims button, and it's taking a long time to load. This is a big pain point for our customers, and it really just reveals that this is a big problem that we're trying to solve, right? Someone has to sit here and wait for this website to load, and the reams on average could take up to 5 minutes to submit one single claim, right? So after all of this information is completed, what our agents do is there's a validation component where they'll take a screenshot and they'll kick it back to the human in the loop process that Alex was referencing and say, yes, we did it. Here's the screenshot of the claim number. Let's continue on the life cycle of the warranty, right? But as it does that, it'll take that, close the windows, and shut itself down. To show some scale, let's kick off a few more. So we're going to run 6 in parallel now. And you can see my, Chromes are just getting bombarded. And we've got 2 more gens going, 1 more ream. This gen is going to be fun to watch. So the other gen, well, no, it succeeded. So they just keep succeeding. I'm going to kick off 3 more until one needs to initialize the self-healing process. So now we're running 9 simultaneously. And again, this is hosted on my laptop. In production, this is hosted on, massive servers. Okay, well, I'm trying to make it fail at this point. So let's just keep it going. We're going up to 12.
The script's too good on it.
I guess. Yep. So it just keeps succeeding on all of them.
That's fun.
But ultimately, if it was to fail, I have some logs where I can show you. We can see that we will be applying various fixes as it goes through its life cycle, right? So let me pull up some examples of what those fixes look like. These are all the logs. So we have total visibility and accountability of our agents as they go through. And we can see what's coming in, what's getting succeeded, what's failing, so on and so forth, right?
And so what's really
Ultimately,
cool,
oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add in. So what's really cool about what Connor's showing, in my opinion, is these things happen by themselves. They self-heal. So after you click that button on the Continuum portal to submit a claim to the warranty portal, this self-healing process happens live under the hood and without you having to even see this warranty portal.
Exactly. Yep. What I'm trying to show, and frankly, it's just succeeding too much, so bad problem to have on a demo, I suppose, is that our logs will output exactly what each agent is thinking when it is initializing the self-healing process, right? So then we can have accountability on how it's healing. We can actually learn from that and bring that into other agents in the future, thus creating a better system. But we can also go back to particular scenarios and say, okay, this is what the root cause analysis actually was. This agent went haywire, and we can dissect the system through these outputs and just go surgical tactician on individual components of the entire agentic architecture. It's really
So
important.
So
Oh,
this is important in this scenario because one of the business problems that a lot of people talk about is one of the challenges is these manufacturers change the information that's required. Like I didn't know that we needed to know the color of the fan blade for the unit before, and now we do. Well, this agent now can actually see that, oh, we're missing a critical piece of information, or something as simple as the manufacturer changes where the login button is. And it's going to try to log in. It's like, I can't find the login button. Takes a screenshot, puts it back into the agent to self heal. We have another agent who self heals the agent that does the claim. So it's like the brain of it, and then can actually log back in and figure out how to go correct itself. So when we say self healing, it's almost like a human in how it learns, like something changed inside of this portal. And then moving forward, the information that we ask your customers for also changes.
yep. And it's fully autonomous, right? We don't have to click any buttons. This just happens as soon as our partners submit the claim through the portal. Just goes. But yeah, that's probably enough of the green and black screen and a bunch of windows popping up. So I'll go ahead and kill this process and hand it back over to you, Alex.
Yeah. So I think this problem historically has existed, and there's really been no other option but to throw bodies at the problem. And so you talked about Tropic Supply, Connor. Tropic Supply, on average, they said that a claim at the counter would take 15 to 20 minutes per claim. And that's just capturing the information up front. So if you think about the amount of rework that happens across the organization, the counter then takes that information and needs to pass that over to a warranty processing team. The warranty processing team then needs to go enter that claim into the manufacturer's portal. And ultimately, you've created a lot of rework. You've also created a massive delay between the time of either you giving credit or getting credit back from the manufacturer. And so it's really about how we shortcut all of that time between getting a customer credit and you receiving your credit, which is material when you look at the financial impacts related to this, aside from the manual labor, but also providing proactive updates to your customers along the way. And so as these agents are working, in the background, so you don't see the agents working inside of our platform, right? You just have a UI. But as the agents are working, we're providing updates to both internal users and your customers along the way. So one of the challenges that we see is contractors pick up the phone saying, "Hey, where are we at with this warranty claim? Like I submitted that a week ago. Why don't I have a credit back yet?" And if we go look at these reviews, there was one here. It said something about my $500. Yeah, they currently have my money tied up, and when I should never have to pay for the warranty parts in the first place. Right. And now companies decide to do that for good reason. They're like, hey, we're going to wait to credit our customer until we get credit from our vendor. That's a decision that some companies make. Other companies say, hey, we'll credit our customer right away. Either one, you're in a catch-22 position. Either one is a suboptimal decision. Like you have made a poor decision, but you have to make a decision. And so I credit my customer up front. You're taking the entire financial risk profile of that warranty claim into your P&L. In 2026, that's a big risk. Or you tell your customer, no, Mr. Customer, please wait. I'll credit you when I get my credit from my vendor. Well, now you've just degraded the customer experience and potentially get reviews like this, even when you're doing everything right. But we're dealing with manufacturers and multiple parties throughout your organization. And so it really is a domino effect of you have to make a suboptimal decision of crediting your customers now or waiting to get credits. And then there's no visibility throughout the entire process. So as these agents work, they update the Continuum portal. So now everyone is working off the same set of information. If there's more information required, we find that out right up front when the agent tries to file it, update the status in Continuum, and your contractors also get notifications. So when we talk about our vision of building a completely connected supply chain, these are the types of things that we're talking about is how do we allow for your customer, the distributor, and manufacturers to be integrated into a single process throughout the supply chain. And that's ultimately what we help our customers do. And so any technology system you think of, your e-commerce platform, your ERP system, sometimes we're integrating the WMS systems. That's more on stock returns, but WMS systems. A seamless experience across the entirety of the supply chain so that everyone has a consistent customer experience related to returns and warranties. As a business, we are working with well north of 100 distribution companies. We have many, many manufacturers on the platform. Whether they're on the platform or not, they're in the network. We had a customer of ours who was in a different vertical say, "Oh, I have all these vendors you've never heard of." This can scale to N number of vendors essentially overnight, and the output is pretty incredible. So today was a little bit more behind the scenes, kind of really how does this all work? It was funny. We had a customer of ours talk to us. We were out at the Hardy event back in December, and they're like, "Yeah, how do you get all these claims filed with our manufacturers?" And we had never lifted up the hood in the sales process to show them here's actually how these claims are getting filed and how this information is getting back to you so quickly. They just thought we had APIs to all of these different vendors, but then we wouldn't be able to scale to N number of vendors. You have 100, you have 150, 200 vendors that you file claims with. We can handle all of it. So yeah, we would be happy to spend some more time with any of you in a one-on-one conversation. We could actually schedule a demo to show you the front end of what this looks like from a user experience and less of the back end. We'd be happy to set that time up. I think at this point, we'll take a pause and see if there's any questions from anyone in the audience here that we could answer. And I know we'll wait for a couple to come in, but typical questions that we get, like we talk about what happens if the agent fails. I think you guys covered it, but Connor or Alex, you guys want to go, hey, agent fails, what happens?
Sure. So obviously that's a great question, and that's where our human in the loop design comes into place, right? So if the self-healing iterates n number of times, and that's a configurable thing, we can have it loop forever, we can have it loop for like just 5 times, whatever. If it fails and cannot figure out a website, that claim and all the claim details gets handed off to our human in the loop, right? And that's our managed services team. And they can actually pick up where the agent left off, right? So the agent's created a draft and it's got like halfway through or whatever, and sends a screenshot of where I failed to the human in the loop so the human can pick it up and finish it, right? So nothing's getting lost in the process or any of that. And we need the human in the loop for the robustness of this solution to scale, right? To n number of vendors and all of that. And that's our current fallback process.
Yeah, and just to add, it's not if maybe there's a failure, it's when. Because to anyone who's ever used this portal, and to me when I was interacting with them, and just to start, even as a human, I'll click a button and I'll click it 5 times, and maybe 4 out of 5 times it doesn't work. So these portals are inherently brittle. So that's why we've taken robustness and retry logic and self-healing and having a human fallback really, really seriously and made that core to this product.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super super valid. And then obviously the human in the loop element, because technology can and will fail, right? And a manufacturer's portal website is down. And that's why we have the team behind it that can actually go help move that claim along in the process. One big thing that we get is we move up market in global companies is just more of these AI documents we're filling out related to security. And I think the natural reaction is, oh, there's AI. It presents a greater security risk just because it's AI. And so I think I'd be curious you guys' take around data sensitivity, which is very, very important. And obviously our customers' customer information is the most important around what should the real view around security be? And then what are the practices that we take to make sure that this is secure and the agent's not running rampant with data?
Yep. So security is paramount in our development minds, right? We use state-of-the-art Azure security for single sign-on into the portal. Everything's hosted in Azure, right? So we are under the Microsoft security umbrella, which it has all these alerts. And even sometimes when I push a commit, it'll alert that, oh, this was bad or whatever, right? So the Azure deployment of all of our systems is incredibly secure, right? But even on an AI note, the way that we have designed our tool is actually to keep the parameters, which is all of the user information, separate from what the agent is working with. And it gets injected into the RPA part of it, but it's never actually sending the user details to an LLM anywhere, right? So that all still lives in the Azure system. And then when it executes the RPA, it will just draw those in as it needs to fill it out. And then if it fails and it goes into the self-healing loop, that self-healing is just on the code itself, not any of the user's data.
Yeah.
Yep.
Alex, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, one last thing. I think a lot of people like to know, or like, where is our data actually hosted? And it's all hosted in the US, again in Azure, as Connor alluded to. So that goes with our, you know, our LLMs are actually hosted inside Azure as well. So we don't have external data egress either, which is another, question that comes up.
Yeah. I think another one. I know Alex, you and I have talked about it a decent bit because it's changing so fast. There's so many different AI models today. I think what Claude was the most recent update recently when they moved to the latest release. How do you keep up with ensuring that like you're you have a strategy as the AI landscape changes so quickly?
Yeah, I think that's a really, really funny question, Alex, because this landscape is moving so quickly. In the time where we've been in this webinar, like another model might have been released or another update. It moves so rapidly, and that's something that's really unique to kind of our time right now. And so, kind of the framework we've built, I mentioned LangGraph. We've made it agnostic. We've made it not depend on a specific model provider or model version, so we can go from Anthropic's Claude to OpenAI's GPT model. It doesn't matter. The core underlying model we can swap in and out just like you would a replacement part for like an HVAC unit. So it's agnostic.
Yeah, that's a critical piece, and you always feel like you're like, am I using the best model, or am I using the best model today? And they're always changing, and I think it's an arms race a bit in those models and what model you're using. And I saw that what we were talking when we were out in Denver for the Dev Kickoff. Anthropic just raised $10 billion to go continue to invest in their models. So I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Okay, well, if there's any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We will try to wrap it up and get you out of here. If there is no other questions, Connor, Alex, thank you guys. I'm so pumped about what you guys have built, and obviously this is just step one of where we're going with AI and the different elements. There's so many different aspects to where we can use AI and where you guys are already testing. As we were out in Denver, fraud rates, and identifying, repeat offenders. It's such an exciting time. Connor, Alex, do you have any last thoughts or comments before we wrap it up?
No, just excited about the future. Yeah, this is only the beginning. We're going to keep going with it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think you touched on all the points, Alex.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. Like I said, you can find us at www.gocontinuum.ai. Feel free, if you're on the webinar here, I'll pull up a QR code. It'll take you to a landing page. You can feel free to reach out. You can reach out to me direct. You can reach out to our marketing team or go to our website, find more information. We would love to have a one-on-one conversation with any of you, whether you're a manufacturer and you're looking for a warranty portal that has talking about connecting the supply chain. How do we engage your contractors? If you're a manufacturer on this webinar, how do you get your contractors to identify root cause analysis, file claims, see available replacement parts, inventory, and ultimately get the right information up to you? If you're a distributor on the call, would be happy to spend time with you as well. Thanks everyone so much for your time, and looking forward to talking to you one-on-one at some point in the future.